Hello everyone, this is Zombie Kids Rule, and I am back again pretty quickly here, same day, with a sixth tutorial on the RPG Maker dialogue options series that I'm doing. And this is just a really quick one. If you guys were, if you've seen the other videos and you're if you paid attention, you'll notice that the screen changed from the first four to the fifth. I essentially added this new NPC here, spread them out a little bit because I wanted to demonstrate something that I touched upon in the last video when it came to the time of day and the flirting and essentially naming the NPC and then putting the NPC's name in a variable so that you could reference it. And I wanted to demonstrate doing an array to do a random selection of NPC names so that every time you select an NPC name, the name is removed from the array so it can't be chosen again. And then, essentially for testing purposes, once that array gets empty, it will reset itself and we could repeat it again. But it's just four names in this array, and I wanted to demonstrate how that works. So this would be pretty quick. Um, Again, this video series, is I'm still learning myself. I'm just trying to share things with people who, with I think that might be helpful. If these videos are helpful, that's great. I hope they are. Nothing fancy, just some stuff I've learned, and as I learn things, I explore, I create, try to experiment with things and then I want to share them. So, I again, hope this is helpful. Nothing really fancy here, just basic functionality, and then you can do whatever you want to with it. You can, your imagination is your limitation in this regard. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what is happening here, and then we'll look behind the scenes. So here we go. We're going to go up to this mysterious looking figure, and it's a cloaked figure. So you notice that the name is cloaked figure at first. The cloaked figure stares silently at you from beneath the cowl of their robe. And so Reed says, "Who are you?" And the hooded figure is silent for a moment as if contemplating, "Give me a name and it will be so." So Reed says, "How about Lulu?" "For now, my name will be Lulu." And you'll notice that Lulu is now appearing here. And then we're done. Now, for testing purposes, we're going to do this. We're going to empty this array. So it's going to do the same thing each time, just to show that the array is doing what it's supposed to be doing. So the cloaked figure says the same thing. "Who are you?" says the same thing. There was a tiny delay there. We could make it longer if we wanted to. Change the color of the text. "Give me a name and it will be so." So Reed says, "How about Troy?" "For now, my name will be Troy." And then let's see a third option. "Fred." "My name will be Fred." And each time it's going to change this name here in the show text. And then the last option, there should be one more name. Reed, being ever helpful, will say, "How about Cindy?" So for now, my name will be Cindy. And now the array is empty, but let's just make sure. One of those names should now be repeated. The array should have refilled. "How about Fred?" So he's back to Fred again. So it worked the way it was supposed to. So how does that work? So, whoops, sorry. Clicked on the wrong thing. So for this simple test, I just wanted again to demonstrate how an array can be used to randomize NPC names. And to create an array, so first for this NPC, we did the same thing we normally do. We named the event, we got a sprite, right? All this other stuff hasn't changed from the other tutorials. To create an array, we basically took a variable and we used the created a variable and I named it NPC names, right? So variable 19, and we set it using the script. And essentially, to create an array, you use brackets, and so you have a left bracket, and then inside your array is going to be the text you want is going to be in quotations, and then it's comma separated. So if we want to use text in our array, we're going to say quote unquote Fred, comma, quote unquote Cindy, comma, quote unquote Troy, comma, and quote unquote Lulu. and then there's no comma, and it's the closing bracket. So this is now an array of 4 names that can be that are stored, and we're going to pull from them. And so we do this first in our first page. It's auto run. So what that means is that when you first land on this map, when your character first appears on this map, this event is going to quickly auto run, right? And it'll be so fast that it shouldn't cause any pause for your for the player to notice. It's going to set this array, and then it's going to turn self switch A on, which will move the page to page two. And self switch A is on, and it's the same sprite just standing there. But now the array has been set. And so when we select that character, that map event, it does its first text, right? And then read, ask the question, and then it does its text of, hey, I'm going to stare at you. And then if you haven't seen I highlighted this before. When you hover, it gives you a bunch of different options to do with your text, and here's one of them. So Control C, I shouldn't say, I'm sorry, not Control C, slash C, capital C, and then a number of a value. It changes the color of the text. So there is, you could write these down. I think I found a resource out there somewhere that broke out all the colors. You could save it somewhere. I couldn't find it, so I just went through the colors. I changed this. I started with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up till I got to 10 because I wanted red, and that changes the color as you saw. This slash with a line, that is essentially a pause, right? So in our list here, it says wait 1 second. So if I were to put another one here, it would wait for 2 seconds, and the delay would be a little longer. And so this is going to change the color of the text. I'm going to say, and you notice it's still cloaked figure here. So I click OK. And then here is where we're going to play with our array a little bit. So here's a comment that's telling us what's happening so that we can understand. So this comment says, which doesn't do anything, right? The comments are just there for the developer, for you to know what you did. The first script picks a random name from the variable 19 array. So this was variable 19. We created the array. And so this script is picking a name out of that variable. So it's using words equal math dot random, and then capital int, right? So M is capitalized, random is not, int, I is capitalized, and it does make a difference between capital and non-capitals. And then there's a parentheses, $, game not capitalized, capitalized variables, dot value, and then in parentheses 19, that's your variable value, dot length, and then there's your parentheses, and you don't really need that semicolon, but it's there, and it doesn't hurt anything. So that is your script, and you could put it just like that in the script box where when you select script. So if I'm here, I double click, I go to page 3, I select script, and I can write my script right in there. So that is the first thing. So this script right here, you can use over and over again if you want to randomly select a value from an array that you've made. So then comment number 2 says, okay, the second script is going to set the chosen name, which, I put the comment like that because I know that the values in variable 19 as an array are names, so that just helps me remember. Sets the chosen name to variable 20, because variable 20 is what we're going to use to display that chosen name. And so here is the script. $game variables dot set value 20 is the variable, comma, and then $game variables dot value 19, which is the array reference, right? And then it uses words in those brackets. So you have to do it exactly like it is here. Any little mistake will cause a mistake. It will cause a problem. Your lower cases have got to be lower cases. Your upper cases have got to be upper cases. You've got to get your, you can't miss a comma, you can't miss a parentheses or a bracket, or else it won't work. So that script, again, you can use over and over again for what you're trying to do here, which is taking that chosen um, element from the array, in this case a name, and making it the value of variable 20. And then the third script is going to remove that value, that chosen name, from the variable 19 array. So it is $game variables dot value 19, so that's the variable array 19, dot splice, and then in parentheses, words, comma, 1. Okay, so again, you know, retype these exactly the way they are, and it should work for you. I will tell you, I am just learning how to use arrays. So I don't know exactly everything that this is doing, but I know it works. And, I've tested it multiple times, used it in different ways. So if you just repeat this, even if you don't 100% understand exactly what it's doing, it should work. Then after it's done these three scripts, right? It picks a random name from the array. It sets that random name to the variable 20. Then it removes that chosen name from the array. Then we present that in our show text. So read is going to say how about, and then we use /v for variable, and then 20. We've done that before, right? We've done that in other tutorials. And then this guy, right, the mysterious figure, as I referenced in the last tutorial, we're using that variable 20 in the place of the name. So every time we pick a new name, it can be replaced because we're using a variable in the show text under the name field rather than actually typing something in. And then you notice here, we're changing the color again. So capital C 10 to turn it red. And then we're using the /v20 for the variable, right? And then we're doing /c0 to turn the text back to white, so the period will be white. If you don't change the color back, then everything from that point on will be that color in that text box. So this is just a way, again, of saying change the color of the variable that's displayed and then change the color back. And then the fourth script here is essentially this comment is reminding us that the fourth script is going to check to see if the variable 19 array is empty. And it's basically saying, as a script here, this is a conditional branch. So a conditional branch using a script, if the $game variables dot value 19, right, and this is equal to nothing, right? So two equal signs, and it's empty quotation marks with nothing in them. So it's checking to see if essentially if the variable is empty, that's what this script is doing. If it's empty, then it's going to turn control switch A off, which if we turn control switch A off, will take us back to page 1, which resets the array. Okay, it resets the array. And then it turns self switch A on, and we're back on this page. When it gets down to here, if this is a conditional branch, you don't have to use an else, right? Because what'll happen is it says if this is empty, then do this. But if it's not empty, it just continues down and it says, oh, end. I'm going to stop. I'm going to exit. And then when we come back, it'll go through this whole thing again, and it will let us pick, right? It'll let us randomly pick from the array until the array is empty. And then it will say, hey, if I'm empty, let's do this so that we can go back here and reset our array. So that is how this functions. And so again, just some highlighting things. We're auto running this event. So when you first step on the map, it's going to set this array. Only used 4 names here just for ease of testing, just to make sure it was doing what it was supposed to doing. Remember that to create an array, you're going inside this variable and you're using script and you're using these brackets. And whatever's inside the brackets, comma separated, is going to be in your array. And if you're using text, you're going to put that text inside of quotation marks. And then you would have to pause this, write this down, pull up 2 screens side by side, make sure you type this exactly the way it is, and then test it to make sure it's working the way it's supposed to be working. And again, the first script is saying, hey, I'm going to pick a random name from that array. The second text is I'm going to set that random name that I chose to a variable 20 so that I can use that. And then I'm going to remove that chosen name from the array so that I can't pick it again until I reset it. Or you might not want it to reset at all, right? You might create an array of 50 names and then use those to have 40 NPCs get randomly named. You'll never run out because you only have 40 NPCs calling, trying to get that array. So you could do that. And you could, in theory, do it through a common event, but what you would have to do is you would have to set your array first, right? So your array is all set, and then when the common event is called, it is just simply taking things out of that array, and it's choosing from and then taking from that array. And that's pretty much it. And you've got the variable conditional branch down here to check if the array is now empty. And then if it is, do something. So that is pretty much how that works. And it works very, very nicely. It's very interesting. I'm just learning how to use arrays. You can do all kinds of interesting things with arrays. It's really kind of cool. And so anyway, I just wanted to show that quickly before I do the last shopkeeper type of dialogue. Option that we have. So I hope this helps. Hope if you've never done arrays before, they're really cool to play around with. So go forth and experiment. Again, subscribe, get notifications. I believe that helps out with getting other people to find these if they're helpful. I'm not doing this for subscribers. I'm actually doing this because I enjoy it, and I'm doing RPG Maker stuff anyway. But I do want to share. And if this is helpful, if you have comments, please leave comments. Let me know. I like to hear from folks. But most of all, I'm doing this because I want to give back, and I have fun doing it. So anyway, thanks a lot, folks. I hope you found this helpful. I'm glad you found this channel, and happy game making, and have a great afternoon.